Hey, how you doing, superhumans? Welcome back to our new lecture. And in this lecture, we will be discussing about the three phases that are there in mobile IP concept. So let's get started with the lecture. The first phase is basically, in this particular lecture, we will be talking about just the first phase. In the next following lectures, we will talk about these two phases as well. So what is agent discovery? Agent discovery basically requires these three components in the mobile IP concept. So the first component that we require is home agent, then we require foreign agent, and then we require mobile host as well for the agent discovery. Okay. Now, before telling you about how the agent discovery happens, I want to focus upon these two things. That giving you this example, that I've been giving you this example for a while. Let's say that this is the home network and this is the foreign network, and this is the foreign agent. Let's discuss about what are the various things a host H1 needs to make sure that it stays connected to all the other devices that are there on the internet. So if it is moving from network 1 to network 2, it needs to follow these steps. The first step it needs to follow is that it needs to make sure that it knows about the address of the router R1, which is it knows about the address of the home agent. Before moving on to the network N2, it should make sure that it knows about the address of home agent. After it has moved to the foreign network, it should make sure that it discovers certain things after it is entering the foreign network. So the first thing that it needs to discover is the IP address of the foreign agent. This is the first thing. The moment this host H1 is going to move from the N1 to the network N2, while it was there in the network N1 and before it was leaving the network N1, it had to make sure that it knows the address of the home agent. Okay. It knows about the address of the, how it will know about this, we'll talk about that in this lecture only. But for now, understand that before moving on to the new network N2, it needs to know about the address of the home agent. Okay, the first step it is done. Now, when it moves to the new network N2, the moment it moves to the new network N2, it needs to discover the foreign agent so that it could know the IP address of the foreign agent. Okay. This is the first part. The second step after moving on to the new network is that it should be having its own care of address. It should be knowing and registering its new care of address. Okay. These were the two basic things that needs to happen each time a host H1 is moving from the home network to a different foreign network. Okay. Let's go deep dive inside what is basically agent discovery. Okay. Now, agent discovery, let's say that this host H1 has now moved from the network N1 to the network N2. Now, the moment it moves to the network N2, it needs to discover this foreign agent. That discovery we call as basically agent discovery. Now, agent discovery involves basically two types of things. The case one can be this agent advertisement. So let's say that this is the new network N2 in which the host H1 has entered. So this is initially it was there in the network N1. So now since the host is there inside the network N2, this is the host H1. Since it is there inside the network N2, it should be knowing the IP address of the foreign agent. Okay. Now, how does it know? There are basically two type of ways. The first way is that this router R1. Wait a minute. This router R1 is simply going to I made a mistake over here. This router R2, because this is the foreign agent. This router R2, it makes sure that it periodically sends an agent advertisement message telling that I am the agent of this network. I am the agent of this network. It keeps on shouting. It's something like that. It keeps on sending the message to all the hosts which are there in this network. Let's say this is H2 host, this is H3, this is H4. So it keeps on sending the message that we call as agent advertisement message to all the different hosts which are there inside the network N2, or which are there inside the boundary of the network N2. So it will send the message to all the hosts that I am the agent over here. I am the one through which you will be getting the IP addressing. Now, the moment this router R2, I have talked about this in the previous lecture as well, that the agent, I will be calling that agent as a router. The moment this agent finds that this is the new host that has entered the network and that it is not having the IP address or IP address which corresponds to the network address of network N2. What I am saying is, it does not have the IP address which corresponds to the network N2. The router R2, it is going to send this. Obviously, it is sending the host agent advertisement message to everyone. But when H1 receives the message, inside that message there are various things, but the main thing that there is inside this message, there are a lot of fields inside that message telling that I am the agent. Then there are a lot of other fields, but the main field of concern for us in this lecture is care of address field. So in the care of address field, there are a lot of care of addresses which are available for this network N2, which are available right now. Now host H1 finds one of the available address and then gets that care of address. How it will register itself with that care of address, how it finds that care of address, how it is going to take that care of address and tell the router R2 that it has taken that we'll cover in the next lecture, in which I'm going to discuss about the second phase of the three phases. The second phase in this three phases is the registration part, in which it registers itself into the new network using the care of address. For now, understand just this one thing, that somehow it is able to register itself in this new network N2. This was the case 1, where it receives the agent advertisement message sent by the router R2. Now let's say that it enters a new network. Now let's say that this host H1 has entered the new network N2 and it has not received the agent advertisement message that this router R2 is sending to the different host. Let's say that for some reason it did not receive that agent advertisement message. Now since it has not received that agent advertisement message, and since it is in a different network, so it should be having a care of address. So what it simply does, what this host 1 is going to do, it is going to send an agent solicitation message to find the agent in that network. And once it finds the agent in that network, it sends basically this agent solicitation message to the foreign agent, telling that foreign agent that I am the new device in this network and I want a care of address for myself. This is the whole thing. This is the whole concept of the agent discovery. How it is finding that care of address, we'll talk about that in the next lecture. I hope that I was able to help you. Bye.